We're live. What's up, everybody? Dan Tom here at the Protect Your Neck podcast. I'm going to bring in my guy, Feno, here in a second. And, there we go. Oh, hey, we got like three. We got two Dan Tom. Right now on the screen, it looks like you're sandwiched by two Dan Toms. This is going to get sexual, Feno. I don't know what kind of an Oreo.
Sexual.
I don't know what kind of a Chilean Chinese Oreo cookie this is, but let's fucking get one of me out of here, okay?
I can see that, yeah.
You like that?
And it's two different cameras too. So
Yeah. The other one was my stock camera. What's up, everybody? This one's free for the public. I'm gonna hit the tweet live. Me and Feno were actually getting into some good conversation. I'm like, we are late, and this is a good combo for the pod, like as per usual. So we know Bellator is going on, so we're gonna try to spoil that and try to spoil the feed. So we made an executive decision. We were gonna have it on the background, folks, but not to have it. And I just want to apologize off the top. Cool. At least I won't forget this, Feno. Not that it would have mattered because I wouldn't have had much to say, but I totally didn't even mention the best fight of the weekend. Going over at Bellator, Muhammad Usman Nurmagomedov. Sorry.
Muhammad Usman Belal Mohammed Nurmagomedov.
Yeah.
Remember the name.
Yep. Versus the Russian Irish name in my head, at least. Shabbily. But listen, I was explaining to someone. I think it was who was it? Fuck. Sorry, I'm adjusting my camera here. Alex Diston. Sorry. Shout out Alex. He was asking about that thing, if I had anything. I'm like, I didn't cover it, and like, to be honest, I don't know if I really. I mean, I'm sure people will notice, but like, again, I kind of get my orders from Junkie, and with the whole absorption and almost their lack of direction with it, like, I don't really. I never did PFL stuff in you, but I used to at least do the big Bellator fights, and they don't ask me to do Bellator, and I'm so busy that I'm not arguing, right? Like, UFC keeps me busy enough. Right now it's 2 UFC events a week, right? We got Contender Series and then upgraded Contender Series. I mean UFC fights, so it's we got essentially double the Contender Series cards plus some good fights sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
Basically, holy shit! It was like the prelims. Literally, I felt like I was in an amateur MMA event. I'm not even trying to be mean. Of course, we're gonna be recapping UFC Vegas '97. We'll go from top to bottom. We'll try to get through this rather quickly. Hit us up in the chat, any questions or comments and whatnot. But yeah, this fight, of course, it was UFC Fight Night 242, UFC Vegas 97, UFC Fight Night. My voice is all fucked up. Sorry, guys. So even more reason. I'm just falling apart from all ends, guys. Like, so nothing's new there. Losing event, nothing's new there. I haven't been reverse sweeped in like a minute, being like, I don't know, 10 events or so. So, but I got reverse sweeped, so I got nothing right. I failed everything. So minus 0.903 units. That brings the losing streak to 17 events in a row, and 2 for 27 out of the 30 events that I participated, UFC events that I participated in. So this is bad, man. The unit counts, and as I said, unit count and reputation is irreparable at this point. What's up, Ghost Phantom? Good to see you. Good to see the regulars piling in. Hit the like button if you're watching. But yeah, nothing new there, Feno. We'll talk about it, but again, surprise, surprise, if there was any controversial scorecards, calls, injuries, fouls, fighters being fouled. We'll get to it, but I think I went kind of like I went like 0 for reverse sweep. I didn't hit anything, Feno. I think opposite. I think I did my usual where I ended up on the wrong side of every weird thing tonight. Which is par for the course for me as well, so that's always nice. My guy Aaron was like we'll get to it when when Chanel got subbed. He's like, dude, that was the opposite way I saw that fight going. How did that happen? I'm like, because I just got done sending my guy Aaron this message, but I was like, about another fight, I was like, because losing's not enough. I have to just, I have to, be kind of be bent over. To quote Brad Pitt from Seven, who I was using the gifs of all night. That was the GIF theme. Bending over. See this? This is us, and he's fucking us. But yeah, so I honestly was doing. I was just talking to Feno. I forgot to post it, but I was going to post the old Wolverine from the first Wolverine from '99, the original X-Men movie, where he's in the cage fight, but he's got his back turned to the opponent, and that's my joke for like when I'm just getting reverse sweeped or my ass kicked. Well, it's one or both. Like by the co-main event, I'm just like when I know it's a losing night, I'm just not even watching the main event. So I was checked out, and I actually set up the show and shower. Like try to actually somewhat take care of myself, which I've been terrible at doing. My health again is in the gutter, neither here nor there. Surprise, surprise. So yeah, I was doing the I guess like I was telling Feno, the Wolverine, but in the shower. So like the Wolverine rape shower because. Not to make light and trigger warning, too late, apologies, of the R word there, but like, yeah, like it is, I mean, I imagine that's what it feels, this is my closest thing that I have to what it feels like, is betting on MMA and life, but yeah, it's, I don't know, man. I wasn't able to watch it. Was Gilbert Burns old? Was it the performance of a lifetime? The commentary was saying from Brady. Where does the truth lie, Fano? I trust your judgment.
Gilbert Burns looked very, very old, and this is like not cope because I know you bet on Burns. I actually didn't make predictions or anything for this week. But I thought your read that Gilbert Burns presented very interesting challenges to Brady was on point. But that version, the version of Gilbert Burns that was able to do that, did not show up today. And that couple, we gotta give credit where credit is due. Brady looked more aggressive on the feet, more comfortable, and the cardio was actually insane. That was a big part of all the glazing that was going on in the commentary team. But they were right in the respect that Brady was keeping a very high pace, and that's kryptonite for an old guy. And Gilbert Burns, I feel like for maybe the first time, no, actually the Belal Mohammed was a pretty old man performance, right? But you had the excuse that he broke his arm, this and that. But it was like a very old man performance in the sense that first he looks slower than usual, but more importantly, the volume, right? We've seen this many times, especially with aggressive fighters, and they start getting hurt in every fight, and they start getting more picky with their shots because they don't want to get hurt anymore. And we have Ben Con in the chat right now. Hello, Ben. What's up?
What's up, Ben?
So fighters, when they get old, especially when they have been hurt so bad, and Burns is coming from a pretty brutal knockout against Jack Della Maddalena, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he didn't look like himself. Some of the best qualities of Burns didn't show up, especially, for example, I don't remember if you mentioned this. I think you did. Is that Brady is very constant with his tempo. He's not a guy that mixes in throwaway shots. He's just very on time. And Gilbert is always the guy that is going to time a cross counter on top of that, right? Because he's very good at timing cross counters. That's how he hurt Kamaru Usman and almost won the title, right?
Yeah.
Nowhere to be seen here.
Yeah.
Very, very few cross counters throughout this fight. Gilbert always done the framing with the lead hand and using high guard or cross guard with the rear hand. But he usually was just 2 steps back and counter. And here he was moving back all the way back to the cage, and that just played into Brady's game. Brady Mechanically, he looked pretty decent. He was putting good combos together. He was hitting with decent power. But a lot of like blitzing with 1-2s. Like it's weird to not see Burns at least trying to catch him with the check hook on entry or deeping with the big right hand, right? It's weird that he was just like backing up with the high guard and the frame, especially because that's like such vulnerable. You gotta. It's similar to when a lot of fighters, and even for example Leon Edwards, I criticized for using like the stonewall with the high elbow against Bilal Mohammed. I thought that was like such a terrible decision because it opens up your body, it opens up your hips for takedowns. At the same time, like here, Burns was not putting himself in position to counter, so wasn't like the greatest idea here. I thought, and we were talking with the guys on the Fight Side Discord, and was like, oh, Gilbert Burns has Robbie Lawler in his corner. Yeah, we can tell because he's not throwing shit.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up because I love how Cruz is like whole like makeup like meta as it goes on. He's like, oh, cuts. That's how fights are judged. Cuts. You know, good reffing when someone's getting smashed. Right? He'll like make these metas on like how the job is done in his head, and you'll realize like how backwards it is.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh. He's Cruz, and it was funny. He was like, at the beginning of the fight, he's like, oh, he's got Robbie Lawler in his corner, so look for Burns to come on strong late. And I'm like, oh, what? That's because you have people in your corner. Is that how it works? Like, you get somebody in your corner, and you absorb their power like a fucking X-Men? Like, and then next thing you know, like, Gilbert Burns are like, oh, Gilbert's giving away rounds. I'm like, oh, shit, he really did. That really is true. Holy shit, he really is turning into Robbie.
Lawler,
yeah, he's giving away rounds.
I was joking that throughout the fight, like Robbie was in the corner, and he was like, "You see that counter, Gilbert? Do not go for it."
Yes, yeah, exactly. Could you imagine if like that's how fights work in Cruz's head, and they're just like, oh, they're just like you're like, oh, he's you know, they're like, and they're like, oh, and they're talking about Brady's athleticism later. I was like, in the way my humor works, even if no one's around to do this for people, I just talk to myself, and I'm talking like I'm Dominic Cruz. I'm like, oh well, that's because in between round 2 and 3, Brady brought in Lance Armstrong. Unfortunately, that means Brady's only operating with one testicle, but look at his cardiovascular power. Like, what the fuck? Like what? Oh wait. Gilbert Burns is trying to channel some more athleticism. He brought in a prime Magic Johnson from the 80s. Of course, that now means Gilbert is HIV positive. Yep. Chris Tione's calling the fight. The fight's over, folks. The fight's over. The commission cannot let this go on. Oh, he tried a little too. I got you to get a little too cheeky there. Yeah, a little too cheeky there. A little too cheeky. Like, how does the fuck? Like, let's just continue that thought, Cruz. Like, you just bring people into the corner, you absorb them like Bishop from the fucking X-Men.
Now we know that the only reason that Jake Shields wasn't a huge hitter is because Ngannou took too long to get to Extreme Couture, right?
Yes, that's right.
He could just have put like Francis on his corner, and it would have been like game over for everyone.
It's like an RPG. Yeah, it's like he's like,
oh like no, you're equipping items in between rounds.
They bring in you got to bring in the other heavyweight from Extreme 2, especially because he's suspended right now, Blagoy. You know, for durability. Oh, durability plus 7.
You're
like,
never getting knocked out.
Like what is that? Like Warcraft, World of Warcraft? What do they call that? Like a tank character? He's a tank. Like he's just tanking the damage and shit. Like with durability up. Like, maybe Cruz is into that shit or something. Maybe Cruz has been playing a lot of Warcraft 3 or some shit. I don't know. Or World of Warcraft or some shit. I mean, I don't know.
And maybe he just found about it like not long ago because Cruz is like less than 40 years old, but he's like so old inside. You know, he's like.
but see, if this was true, especially because he's an ex Lloyd Irvin guy, that means like all Lloyd Irvin guys should be really good, dangerous back takers. That's not true though with any of them. So I guess it stops short there. Sorry, folks. That was a really dark and deep cut there. The last comical thing, because that's all I have for this fight, folks. I won't push on unless Feno, and then I'm gonna go to the chat because you guys have some interesting stuff in there. I'm gonna get to you guys. Appreciate y'all. But Burns not the only person I also know look cool, but Henry Hoof, man, because Henry, it's like he hasn't gone to his old like like what's the rumble line now? Don't quit, come on, stand strong. Like he used to come in almost like the fucking captain from Sound of Music. Like there's almost like it was a glove in his hand, and you can almost see him slap his fighters across his chest. Stand strong, like like he was almost like doing it like some like fucking Nazi captain. Like that was like old school Henry Hoof when he first came in, right?
Yeah,
don't quit.
It was a classic like, oh, here comes Henry Hoof about to tell his fighter to not break and breaking them in the process.
Yeah. He was doing it, but he was doing the softer version. He goes, "I know you're tired, but you're not tired. Okay?
Yeah.
I know you." I'm like, "Stop! No, he's doing the old man. No." I was like, "Oh, Henry must be losing it inside because he reverted back to the old commands, but it was all the old man version of it." Don't get tired yet. I know you're tired, but don't get tired yet. Don't get tired. I know you're thinking about getting tired, but don't think about getting tired, okay? Are you done thinking about getting tired? Okay, now what I need you to do, aside from not thinking about getting tired, is stand strong. Starts like giving opinions. Sorry. Hopefully I don't appreciate that. There we go. Benjamin Collin. I'm almost high and having a good time listening to the sultry sound of your voice. My voice is crap, so I'll give the credit to Feno there. My voice is dying. Roy Beeman.
My voice is not good even when it's healthy. So.
No, you got the sexy Latin accent, man. I don't know if that's how it goes where you're from, but
It doesn't. It only works in the podcast.
Okay, for the rest of the world, it's great. Trust me, man. Roy Beeman, do you think Brady's smothering style is a stylistic mismatch for Machado Gary? Not sure he can overcome the pressure and pace of what Brady brings to the potential matchup. Much love, guys. Fedja, you want to go first on that one?
Personally, I feel like Gary has a field day with Brady because Brady is just so stocky, doesn't have many options at long range. He doesn't have a great shot for takedowns. Gary doesn't expose himself on entry for reactive takedowns a lot. He's very long. He can kick quickly. He has shown to be very decent against defending takedowns. I feel like Gary is very bad for Brady. If it goes to the ground, of course, Brady has probably a big advantage over everyone in the division. We would have to see against like Shafkat, right? But yeah, he's very dangerous. But I feel like I feel the opposite, to be honest. I feel like Gary should be very bad news for Brady.
I think that even though it's hard because I didn't watch the fight as closely, right? But from what I saw, Brady still really wasn't feinting or setting up his shots very well. It was more just running into the cage, running his combinations into the clinch, kind of style. And he had the small cage in this fight is one thing to remember. The second thing to remember is, even though I wasn't watching this fight, correct me closely, but correct me if I'm wrong, Gilbert from Jump Street was very willing, almost tactically, I would argue tactically not recommended so to a point. He was very willing to grapple with Brady to the point where obviously Ian Gary wouldn't be. And with the cage sides, that's the thing about grapplers is they're fucked with Gary. Gary already promoted himself to such where he was done with the small octagon like 2 or 3 fights ago.
Yeah. You're never getting Ian Gary in a small cage again.
No,
ever.
Yeah, no. He's on pay-per-views now.
That's gone. Yeah.
So you got to, in other words, you got to track the math. I'm saying there, folks, is you got to track him down, is what me and Feno are saying, and that's where he would run into a lot of problems. What Feno's saying, which I agree with Feno, by the way, but it's mainly based off that factor. It's just and then I said the same thing about O'Malley, and then again Feno. That's the thing about like this whole streak and shit, because it's just like fuck, man, like. I know I'm one of the few people that like consistently talk about cage analysis, and then I talked about it like I always fucking do before the Cheeto and O'Malley fight. what was all the analysts talking about after? What was the big thing? What was the big takeaway after their rematch, Fenio?
The big difference between the small and the big cage. That a
Yeah.
lot of people were talking about that. Yeah.
If only there was an analyst out there consistently talking about that with his fucking analysis. But I'm just a betting guy, and I'm just the losing betting guy. So what the fuck do I know? You know. So it's just really fucking annoying. But yeah, Benjamin Cohen says probably depends on if Gary could hurt Brady early and keep him at bay. Likely gets smothered by Brady otherwise and gets top game badly. In the smaller cage and stuff, I think he'd have more of those opportunities, Ben. And in the grappling opportunities, yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think me and Fenyo are more just seeing that big cage, having him track him down would fucking suck. Benjamin Cohn adds, Brady isn't going to become a drastically better striker in a quick enough time frame, and he lacks stopping power anyway. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, he was trying to put a lot of pepper in his shots today, and wasn't really hurting Gilbert Burns. So I think it's kind of safe to say that Brady not a big puncher.
Yeah, definitely. And this seemed like a very fragile, if not physically, but emotionally even, like Burns,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Like he's like he has like pop enough to make fighters respect him. Don't get me wrong. He's not like pillow fisted,
Right.
but and obviously this is like an unfair comparison, but like check the reactions because here like Burns was reacting badly in a tactical sense, like he was like moving back, trying to cover up, but he was like never getting stung by the shots, right? And you compare that with like Jack Della.
Yeah.
He was like a lot more picky with his shots, but he was fucking Gilbert up every time he opened up. So there's a big difference there, and I think that's going to present some trouble for Brady as he fights fighters with better takedown defense, right? I would be interested to see Brady, for example, against Leon Edwards, because you never know what you're getting with Leon Edwards, right? The pressure, this style that is very similar to what Belal Mohammed used against Leon Edwards, could work against Leon, but you gotta understand that Leon is like very good in the clinch. He will have some big advantages in open space, or you would expect at least so. But then Brady has his A game, right? I was saying like we didn't get to see the A game from Brady in this fight, so it's okay that the fight. I think the performance wasn't that great, but at least it was like his B game, so it's different, right?
Yeah.
It's like okay, you're winning a fight with your B game. That's pretty cool. That's still impressive, right?
Yeah.
And he probably gets to implement his A game against basically everyone else in the division, right?
And he seemed really stoked in the post-fight interview, like he really proved something to himself, which good for him. I'm happy for him. Ghost Phantom says, Ben Cohn in the house. Ben is the man. That's right. Speaking of Ben says, I think he'd be best served to be put time into becoming a really punishing clinch fighter, and he could work in solid knees and elbows in his clinch game. It'll give him better plan B to work with. Oh, that's great advice. I think that's fantastic advice, Ben.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Ben says, "Hey, how you doing, PFP? Okay, talking about Brady being a cardio machine. Had me losing it. I was just giggling. I was doing my Wolverine rape shower. People just tuning in, like, what is Dan Tom talking about? It's fine most of the time whenever someone tunes in, I'm sure. Ghost Phantom says, he's talking to Ben over there. Hey, guys, okay. Okay. I'm gonna push on to so I had Burns money line. That was another thing too. Like, and it was totally well-meaning people, so I hope they don't think I'm being a dick. But again, Fenyo, I always say, what do people always criticize? Like, oh, it's always some version of you get too cute with your bets or this or that. And someone was like, your bets are kind of hard to cash, Dan. They said or something, and they're like, you should just try picking fighter A versus fighter B more. And I was like, The majority of my plays were money line plays tonight, and majority of my exposure. So even if the majority of my plays aren't there, like the majority of my money exposure, or both, that's what it's been. That's like actually what I've been trending toward, not just tonight, but in the past. And tonight I had 4 money line plays. Of course, none of them hit. So again, it's just extra frustrating where it's like not only do I lose, but then I gotta sit and like hear, and then someone else who again was well-meaning was like, I forget, I said something like, "Oh, don't be negative, Dan. Everybody wins some and everybody loses some." And I'm like, everybody wins some? Like, because like, not even the sum applies to me at this point. Like, what?
Like that means you guys are winning?
Yeah, like I was like, wow, this is and I didn't even, and I'm at the point I didn't even bother correcting at that point, Like the other person I did quote tweet, not to be a dick, so hopefully they don't take it that way because they're good people. But I was just like, most of my plays are moneyline plays. But it's more just to draw the point that, again, folks, I'm not just complaining to complain. Like these things keep happening to me, both via the game, and people keep saying the same fucking frustrating things to me. So again, it's just all this fucking knife. It's not just losing; it's all this repeated knife twisting where it's just like, again, back to Ben Stiller Meet the Parents or Adam Sandler Anger Management. I feel like I'm perpetually like that character, like. And I should have known because again, like last night, Feno, when I was gonna go play some bets after everything was in, I was doing my errand running, and I'm like, I'm stopping at the haberdashery store, and I see this, there's always like some creepy girl who's always being like really weirdly nice to me, and I'm almost to the point where I'm like, I hope I don't get this person, and I'm like, I saw that person. I'm like, oh, I hope I don't get this person. I hope I don't get this person. I'm like, I got that person. Or like, I don't know if this is weird, folks, but I hate like especially elevators, but even just doors. And I'm like Mr. Polite, so I don't like it. I'm fine with it, but I don't know why. I think it's just like fucking this job and like not being around people ruin me. But like, I hate timing where like, especially with elevators, where like, God damn it, I hate approaching the door like at the same time or like. Especially if it's a place where like you're going to order something, whether it's food or something else, right? And it's that, oh, who's gonna go first? Because it's just always super awkward. I feel like the timing always happens to me where I'm constantly in that like fucking little predicament. And since I'm a nice guy, even if I'm first, I'm always like letting the person go. And that person will just fucking that person ends up taking forever and holding up the whole line. And then not just holding up the whole line, having some awkward conversation where they're just holding not just the person they're talking to, but the whole room hostage with their talking, Like, yeah, I know your machine's not working back there, but, once Trump gets elected, none of us are going to have to deal with this, right? And I'm like, somebody fucking shoot me. Like, I just want to get my fucking order. Like, these are like my normal fucking thing. Catching every fucking, not just red light, folks, yellow light. Everyone's like, do I catch more reds? Do I catch more greens? Is it because I'm a more positive person? No, I get yellows. Yellows. And then I get skipped. Or I'm at the very end of like the light not going. Like I'm always at the last rotation of the light. Like somehow, some way. I'm like, how am I always at the last I go to anyways. And so every omen was hitting, and I'm like, this is a fucking another omen. Like, and again, or is it because, Dan, you're just so fucking cursed, your confidence is so in the gut that you're just thinking like, like Chris Curtis blows out his knee, you think it's your fault, Like, is it kind of like that deal, Dan, And even when I was putting the money in the machine, Feno, it fucking spit my money back out at me. And I was like, oh shit, it's a sign, bro. It's a sign. And if that's not a sign, how about 0 for 17, right? I know we're going to get to the Andrade and Natalia Silva here, but yeah. Basically, like I was kind of telling Feno, I think I'm, well, I might be, if I don't, like, not with the betting, but just in general, if I don't right my ship, like I've told you guys, I've been gambling on myself from almost a decade doing this. It's not just the gambling we're talking about here. There's like, the gambling in life, time, the sacrifice, all those gambles that I've made. Oh, that are just so amazing every Saturday, by the way. Where you're like, oh, this is why I didn't work out. This is why I didn't sleep. This is why I didn't eat correctly. This is why I'm behind on my physiotherapy for my hip and my wrist. This is why I haven't been going to the doctor. Now I have to like, go get vaccine shot update bullshit, potential infection bullshit. All this shit constantly. What more stuff? Oh yeah, more stuff because what's not enough. Yeah, your boys fucking, I don't know what I'm trying to say, Fanyo, but yeah, I'm gonna be done either way. Soon probably, like whether I like it or not, just because like this is not a very lucrative or healthy place for me. But what was I gonna say? For the next card, because I still have a job to do and shit. I'm actually gonna, for once, do the thing that every fucking fraud ass writer to fraud ass better does, where they put plays they don't actually fucking play. I'm actually gonna do that because only because I'm just stepping away. So if you guys are fading me next week, and be careful, I will say, because I don't know if it's going to work the same. In fact, not only will I say it's not, I don't know if it's going to work the same. In fact, I will be willing to bet I will get everything right as soon as I don't have any skin in the game, Penyo, and I actually like hold on to my money for once. Like next week I'm just going to hold on to my money, right? What's left of it. And then I'm gonna get even more mad because I'm gonna be right, and I'm gonna be like, and then people will be like, see, look, just like somebody else will just like, cheer up, Dan. Maybe this is the moment where it turns around, and then of course, like I just lose, like I get reverse sweeped, and I go to that, and I'm just like, anyway. So this isn't the sympathy hour, but that was an important note that I needed to get and share with you guys, and it's important to be transparent like that, even though again, I've shown my ass irreparably. At this point, as an analyst, as a betting person, whatever, I don't fit in any community. I'm not liked in any community, and just by like weird weirdos like you, Fenyo, and the people in the chat. But yeah, so just going forward, be careful because the jinx might not work. So Jessica Andrade lost to Natalia Silva. Dude, your scorecard, were you busy during this one? Because your scorecard, I was looking for some sanity. I felt like everybody was just, and not that it mattered, because it didn't, but I felt like it could have been 1919, and not only that Andrade was arguably winning the second round until, of course, classic Danton moment, like whether it's a fighter I'm big on, or I put one stupid $5 parlay that actually was one away from cashing for a bunch of favorites, and Zhu Rong was the only one that didn't hit. Because again, like, like they're saying in the Gilbert Burns fight in round 4 or 5, like, oh, but it just, and I know commentators do that thing where they got to keep you interesting, Fenya. They're like, it just takes one punch, right? And then if you're a degenerate gambler and fan, you're like, oh, please, come on, right? And we've all done that. We're like, come on, you can do it. Come on, there's still time left. Maybe it's a fantasy moment, like the movies, right? And like, I'm so beat down by this. I am like, no, it's not gonna happen. Like I was joking with Fenyo where like I was in the shower doing, like I had my back turned like Wolverine doing my crying like rape shower thing, and I'd hear on the commentary like, oh, Burns rocked Brady, and I'd just be like, no, he didn't. Like not even like just responding, like not even like missing a beat, like not even getting excited. My heart rate didn't even change. I'm like, no. Like I'm so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, Fenyo. But then on the other side, like. Fucking that break happens all the time, every card. I'm never on the right side of it, right? Like, I'm not saying Zhu Rong was going to continue on and win against Chris Padilla, because I think Padilla was finding his footing in that fight after like a shaky start, if memory serves. Either way, I'm not like hanging either one, but it was, of course, it was that one emphatic shot, right? And I think I posted that.
No, that one was pretty close. Getting back into the Andrade.
Sorry, it was that one shot in the second round. Boom.
Yeah, and that one, like obviously you scored that highly, but that's not like I feel like when a fighter gets hit in the eye, cleanly when it's not a foul, it's usually overscored. I feel. Yes. Obviously when fighters get like good follow-up shots. Obviously, you scored that very highly, right? But there were no follow-up shots here. I mean, Natalia Silva went on a little like flurry, but did not land much damage in that particular sequence.
Yeah, it was when Andrade was blinking her eye out. She tried to flurry, and then Andrade actually, after those failed exchanges, she answers.
He hit her.
Yeah, she won like at least 2 or 3 exchanges after that, enough to where again you still score it. But the round is still in play, so I hope the judges do this math where they go, oh, maybe she wasn't hurt as bad as I thought because Andrade looks like her eye is
Yeah.
clear, and now she's not so coincidentally winning exchanges again. But then again, maybe not again because some people were scoring every round for Natalia Silva without blinking an eye.
I mean, I feel like 30-27 Silva is defensible, but because all rounds were a lot closer. I feel that the thing that bothers me is that people think that this was like such a shout out performance. Uh, when I feel at the end of the day, it comes a little bit for me at least. I scored for this for Silva. That it came to volume. I felt like the best shots on rounds like 1 and 3 were landed by Jessica, and then it gets very subjective because Natalia obviously landed a lot more overall. So there's space for interpretation in there,
Yeah,
but you cannot act like and I feel like Jessica did not fight her best fight here. I
yep,
feel like she could have used more leg kicks and should have gone to the body more. Was not attacking space. All things that we have seen her do in the past. The footwork was looking okay here. At times she ended up following in the trap of following,
mm-hmm.
but she was cutting the cage decently well for most of the fight, and she was fading during her entries. The problem was that um, she was like selling out on one side and clearly giving Natalia a place to circle. But
Yeah,
when she was going to the body, you can tell that Natalia Silva was for sure feeling those shots. I felt like she looked like not hurt, but clearly concerned about quite a few of the body shots. And then she was starting getting hit upstairs as well during exchanges when the few like boxing exchanges that they have. Usually it was Andrade winning those.
yeah, absolutely. I think outside of the third round, too, you could argue that Andrade was still, even though she didn't kick as much as she should have and has, she was still the bit more effective kicker. If you look at how many times she debased, not just
Yeah,
debased Natalia Silva, something I was talking about with like um, when I take a shot, Mackenzie Dern's, Tisha Torres. But like, oh, people are like, oh, the karate kick doesn't score shit or whatever to knock her back or down or whatever. But I'm like, okay, then how does it score here? Because that's the only time that Andrade got debased with a kick was a side kick to the body after, and it came like right after and before flurries that Andrade sandwiched her with exchanges that she won. Um, you know what
yeah.
I'm
For
saying?
example, the big sidekick where she like pushed
Yeah.
Jessica very very far. That came after Jessica clearly rocked her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's like it looks flashy, but I feel like you cannot score that sidekick to the body as higher
Right.
than the punch to the face
Sure.
because and it's not because I value like headshots more than body shots. It's because if you have been like sidekick like that, you know that that doesn't hurt that bad. It looks very bad, right? But you can get up just fine. It's
Mm-hmm.
way worse to eat like a big like roundhouse kick to the gut than
Yes.
getting
Yes.
push kicked, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. But it's just funny how inconsistent like they are. You know, where like again very similar styles, Tisha and Natalia Silva, but Natalia Silva is bigger and hits harder, obviously. And that was a note. Well, Tisha doesn't hit hard enough, but it's like, okay, well then how the hell did Tisha average fucking minus 300? She's literally averaged Natalia Silva odds for longer than Natalia Silva in the UFC forever. Because remember, she like went on that crazy winning streak, you know, where she only had like close split decision loss, where she was like, what was she like 13-2 or 15-2? Tisha
Yeah.
Torres, like from Invicta to Tough to different stages of her UFC career in different camps, even. Like, oh yeah, I guess she just wasn't. Was she just not powerful enough back then, and she forgot her power? Because you know we all know that power is the first thing to go, right? Like, what the fuck are we even talking about here? It's effective striking. Yeah, she's not like the most heaviest hitter, but if it's effective, it's being effective. And Natalia Silva was hitting heavy and toward the end, but I don't know. I feel like round one, I feel like Andrade was hitting the more quality shots. I think it was close in round 2 because even though that shot where I tweeted the Grand Theft Auto meme where it's like, here we go again, or it's just like, because again, back to the classic where like the reason why I never believe my fighter is going to get the Hail Mary or some kind of like crazy scorecard is because not because it never happens. It happens every card. All these things, crazy scorecards, Hail Mary knockouts. It's that I am just never on the fucking right side of it, you know? Like, or it doesn't have to be a Hail Mary knockout. It can just be like a shot stealing and in this case, arguably momentum shifting shot. Where as soon as that shot landed in the middle of the round, where I was like, oh shit, I don't know if we're gonna get the finish. You know, I don't know if we're gonna get the sub. I don't know if I'm gonna cash my under, but at least maybe I'll get the pick right and I'll cash my Andrade bet, right? I bet the money line, so it doesn't matter how she wins so long as she wins. And then, boom, she gets hit that shot. I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. And then I'm looking at the scorecards, and everybody's getting, you know, because again, I'll tell you what the difference is. It's not just the power, although that is part of it. And even though, by the way, I think Tisha Torres has a nice booty. I'll say it, but it's not when she's, you know, but it's not as nice when she's going against, poor girl has to go against like fucking creme de la creme, fucking Tabitha Ricci and Mackenzie Dern over there, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, what do you think the judges are looking at? Even if you've got a cute butt, what do you think the judges are looking at, right? And Natalia Silva's stacked, man. She's the new hotness, right? So Feno, I fucked up here again. I'm betting against hype, age, flashy techniques. Like again, I told myself like, what am I doing? Going with actual analysis that was there. You know, I even said the leg kicks were going to be there, and they were, not just the debasing and doing more damage kick for kick like we said, but she was able to actually land punches off of it. Like, again, effective fucking striking, not just throwing shit out there and sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. But it looks like it lands, so everybody's going to go, ooh, flashy striking. Like, and I'm not even like saying it was a bad decision, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get it, you know, but like, I think it was bad. I still think it was bad perception, and I know I have like rose-colored glasses on, but like, people from non-betting people to the world champions who maybe they're not the greatest commentators, but who are the commentators agreeing with me, to other people who other scorecards who I respect and don't bet, like Zane Simon, who actually did score at 29-28 Andrade for what it's worth. So I don't know. Just want to throw that out there that maybe it was, again, doesn't matter. I get a participation trophy. Oh, what, Dan? Are you saying that one of the scorecards was closer than it looks and you actually could have made an argument for your fighter, and sure enough, that was a fight you were on? Color me surprised, Dan. You know? So, yeah, I know. I'm fucking saying nothing new. Sorry, let's move on. The Cream Machine, Steve Garcia versus Kyle Nelson. I didn't see how the Cream Machine got him down. I don't know if he asked him nicely or he kind of, you know, forced him down, you know,
the fight begins. Steve Garcia comes out very aggressive.
Yeah.
He throws some kind of kick. He falls. Kyle Nelson didn't even catch it. Like, he fell on his ass trying to kick, I think. Kyle Nelson followed him to the side of the cage. Steve Garcia got on all fours. Kyle Nelson went to take the back, attacked the hook instead of defending the arms, and Kyle Nelson took the back anyway. It was very funny. Then it was very funny because Kyle Nelson had a figure four. He had the body triangle, and he actually released it when Steve Garcia went to the side of the lock, the thing that we always say that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And Kyle Nelson, actually, it worked on Kyle Nelson, apparently. So he went for hooks, and he wasn't with very particularly like tight hooks. So eventually Steve Garcia just spun into him and started fucking him up.
Yeah. That's why I tuned in.
Interesting thing about this is that, and this is like a rule, a thing that a lot of people don't understand about the rules about hitting the back of the head.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Garcia landed a very big elbow to the back of the head of Kyle Nelson while they were scrambling.
Yes.
And those are legal. Intentional shots to the back of the head are illegal. if you're like responsible for getting hit in the back of the head, that's kind of legal. Um, Going back to an example that I always did, Junior Dos Santos, when he was like, "Oh, they should overturn my fight with Cyril Gane." Like, no, you turned your back. You were not defending yourself. That's not on Cyril Gane to not hit you in the back of the head, right?
Yeah, no,
So
I agree. Here's why I still am upset, because not just because of my losing streak, and the only bet I had in this fight was for it to get into round 2. And how many seconds was left in the fucking round? A minute.
I
Pretty
mean,
much
it's,
exactly
yeah,
a minute, yeah. And I think we were trending there. But no, when you turn, you're part of it. But here's the thing, Fenyo. Fuck being nice. Fuck giving fucking. It wasn't Goddard or the good refs like Herzog. I'm done giving these fuckers the benefit of the doubt. They can't do their fucking job and take points when they're supposed to. That when they don't see the blatant ones, right? Forget not taking points. When they don't even acknowledge the blatant ones, or they acknowledge it and they go use the replay, but then they don't even like talk about it. They don't even fucking talk to the fighter. They just let the fighter throw a temper tantrum, Demopoulos,
yeah,
or whatever. And they're missing so many blatant fucking fouls just all over the place, right? Whether they're
yeah.
seeing them, whether they're not seeing them, whether they're clearly seeing them, and even going to the fucking nothing is being fucking done. They are a deer in fucking headlights, and they are not communicating with the fighter, which is huge.
Tonight was crazy. Tonight was crazy. It was like the referees weren't even there for
Yeah.
most of the fights.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we had like the reverse, like going back into the card. I think Andre Lima got got a warning for activity from Mount.
Yes.
That's insane. Like, what are you doing? What are we doing at that point? Like,
Yeah, I don't know if it was because Petrovsky fucking set the tone where it was like, I get the warnings there, where I was like, okay, it's not just my
yeah,
bias. Like, everybody from the ref to the commentators are like, why isn't he doing more? And I'm like, okay, I thought it was me just because I bet, him to win by submission, and he's like literally being given a fucking submission.
yeah. But even then, most of that was half guard, where
Yes,
like,
yeah, and it was called for. But the point is communication. It's for the fighters. It's for the whole fight, even for the broadcast, so the fans know. And for what all the refs give a shit about, apparently, is covering their ass and staying out of the fight. It covers your ass, because it's harder to claim early stoppage when you say, like Jason Herzog, he always goes, move fighter, move fighter, move fighter, right? And sometimes he'll keep saying it, and you're like, you should have stopped it in round 2 with Yan Zhou now and Weili Zhang. But at least Herzog's, at least he's fucking giving a warning. He's got a fucking process, and he's sticking to the process,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I appreciate that, and it keeps everybody on the same page. And these refs weren't doing that. Like, that's the thing. It's like, when we how many times have we seen he keeps grabbing my glove, right? Focus on your fight. I'm watching him. Focus on your fight. Mark Goddard always says that, right? Right?
yeah,
Because and even if it isn't a legit foul, which Vanessa Demopoulos was, mind you, right? And even
yeah,
if they are being a whiny bia, right? Which I don't think it's too fair to categorize her for that, but let's just say even if they are, okay, at least when you state it like that, you are acknowledging it. So now, if they continue to talk, now it really is their fault. Now this whole bootstrap fucking thing that everybody wanted to throw down tonight, where, well, you should keep fighting. I'm like, yeah, if the ref acknowledged it, then especially. But as Aljo pointed out, the mechanics of it was actually pinned, and like, I love Paul Felder, but I'm sorry, Paul. Shout out to my guy Brian Big Gun Petrie for calling out Dominic Cruz for stealing a joke of producer Cody Marrow on the Anakin Florian podcast, which he totally did tonight. I hate that shit. It makes me feel like I was in high school, because I always had friends that did that shit. And now that I'm an analyst, dude, I've had people from other sites fucking try to steal, competitive sites try to steal my shit, Fenyo. I've had so many people try to steal my fucking, the way I talk, everything. I'm constantly being cribbed on. I've helped so many people in the broadcast, Paul Felder included. I was gonna tweet a thing, Fenyo, and like it was one of those things where it was like, dude, this is too cold to tweet. It was too truthful, but it was essentially within one tweet, and I'm no blue tech, but it was a life cycle of, here's the thing. Hey man, love your work. Blah blah blah. Oh, cool man. Thanks. Yeah, cool. Share, support that person's work. Oh, thanks for sharing my work, man. Blah 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 blah. And then I write others higher up the ladder because I wrote the tweet starts off the ladder climbers from the perspective of my rung, right? So I share all this work, the work from other analysts, gamblers, whatever, right? It's so many people, even or help people with my own notes that are broadcasters that we just spoke of, right? Before their first shows, helping them, and then people higher up the rung notice them doing these things or that attention because as crazy as Dan Tom is, I guess I'm smart enough to have like fucking people in the industry from like Anik to people in the UFC and shit that follow and respect me. So people in the community that are higher up the ladder see that, and I see it. I see them. I see all the you fuckers. I see you guys. I see everybody follow each other. How did that happen? Just after I retweeted them, and I'm the only. And I'm not like that person. I never fucking hold it over. This is the first time I'm mentioning it to anybody. But I've seen this shit for years. And it fucking constantly happens. And then they get ingratiated into this higher circle. And then all of a sudden, not in my DMs anymore. All of a sudden, they're not that I ever asked them to share my stuff because it was all about me helping them. But yeah, for what it's worth, I notice not sharing my stuff anymore, right? And even quote tweeting these people's stuff. Analysts who you people in the chat shout out. I shout out on this program. We're friends with. People I was recently in a chat with Feno and some others with. And I'll quote tweet their stuff now. Dude, I think 1 out of 3, I got a like from one. I didn't get any comment, no retweet for sure, because it's now it's like is at a certain point it goes from like, oh hey buddy, oh hey, and then as you get notice then it's like, oh, stay away from Dan. We don't need his ass anymore. His fucking ladder rung was used. Sorry, I don't know how I got off on that shit, but it just oh yeah, with the Paul Felder thing. So it just pisses me off, man. Yeah, with the hand pinning thing. So yeah, fuck that. But like, yeah, because he was, and like, by the way, just like Cruz was stealing a joke. When Paul Felder did the, not only did I help him with, I love Paul by the way, but I'm just calling it like it is. I helped the guy with notes. He came to me when he first started doing commentary, and then now all of a sudden, nothing. You got to talk shit to Paul on Twitter for him to respond to you because he only responds to haters. And then like he did for a while in the pandemic, and you watch a lot of fight tape, Feno, and those of you ever hear Paul Felder go, oh, counting nut shots, that's 1. That's 2. You guys ever hear him do that?
Yeah. I remember that, yeah.
That's me.
That was me. You, yeah.
I gave him that idea on Twitter in public, and he ran with.
I remember. Yeah.
You know this again. It's just stupid little things, but I have like a billion of these things, folks. Like and coincidentally, because analysts have egos, which I get. I'm a martial artist. I'm an analyst. So now the only people that I help are, you guys can do the math who, is basically people, not everybody, but the majority of play people in the UFC. I still help them with Southpaw stats and sending them shit. But that's what's just so fucking annoying. It's like, oh, I'm good enough to fucking, good enough to help, the top of the fucking shelf. But like, can't get a win from the universe. Can't even get a like from fucking so-called fucking analysts. It's just, it's fucking bullshit. Anyways, let's go to oh yeah, but then dude, nobody, even Cruz, who's like Mr. Do Tape, dude, he was so bad with doing tape. He was like, oh, look at Andrade's pressure. She put Natalia Silva back to the fence. No, Natalia Silva puts her back to the fence. You're the one usually calling this shit out, Cruz. And Felder was the one giving this person should have back to the foul talk. Sorry, I went off on the sideline. At least I always come back, folks. Felder was like, oh, the hand was pinned. The hand was pinned. He wasn't even talking about that, like the position. Like he was like, oh, well, yeah. He was like, no, don't get me wrong, it was a foul, but you should also, keep fighting until the ref stops you. I'm like, no, you couldn't. Like, again, Aljo, world champion, who understands that position, was explaining when you have that hand pin of the opposing side, you're supposed to be turning into. That's a pin. You've literally got the hand pinned, and it's the opposing side you're supposed to turn in.
It's ridiculous to say that, like obviously these are fouls for a reason. What are you expected to do? Like, if it was another foul, for example, you get poked in the eye, are you supposed to pretend your eye doesn't hurt? Like,
yeah, it just sucks, man. Like,
you get hit in the balls,
right?
What you just if the referee don't see it, you just ignore it and you keep
Yeah.
fighting. It doesn't work like that, you know. So yeah, she was trying to fight. I mean, and I'm not defending, like, as I said, like I've never been a fan of the Demopoulos.
Right.
And to be quite honest, I did not agree with you picking her to win here.
Sure. Sure.
Uh, and still that, like, why are we giving shit to the fighter that got fouled? That
This
it's
is
all every week the
every
same
time.
shit. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and then and the fighters do it too. And again, like I've stand for Cruz and DC people who are unpopular like plenty of times as fighters, but dude, like especially Cruz, like as commentary, like my God, man, like it was a bad pairing tonight in the booth. I like all three of those guys individually, but together it was bad. And yeah, Cruz just fucking just gaslights first thing. He's like, "Oh, he's not like, well, who is it? Someone was fouled." And he was like joking with him, and then I think the fighter looked at him and he goes, "Oh, well, we know he's not like that." I'm like, what? Why does it have to come to the fighter fucking mad dogging you and while your commentators nudge you in the shoulder to stop being an asshole for you to go, "Oh, we know they're not like that. How about we just assume they're tough?" I don't know. I'm not a fucking UFC fighter and I can assume they're tough. I can give them that fucking respect. Why can't we? You know, how do you expect the fans to do it if you guys can't even fucking give your own colleagues your respect? You guys can't even give them the respect of tape study, which is the thing you're supposed to fucking be preaching, Dom. You know? And I love Felder, but Felder's always been like the it seems real like it's funny, man. My buddy who did the same thing to me was we were in theater buddies. We were in theater too, and Felder was in theater. He just seems like that guy, that like the theater chat guy who like would get the parts, didn't really have to study for the role, kind of just rolled in, and you know, and you know he was a big Rogan fan, and Rogan sets the standard unfortunately for a lot of these guys, right? And that's the important. So that's the unfortunate part of like when people were complaining for many years of when Rogan was falling off, is that it was, you know, it influences others. So yeah, I don't know why I'm like burning my bridges even further, but maybe because I'm like I already know I'm coming to the end here, and it's just annoying. Like the one thing I wanted to do in this space venue was call a fight, and I know it was never going to be for the UFC anyways, but it's just so annoying. Like I see so many people that, and even people that aren't UFC fighters and stuff, that but they're in like some like random like, you know, podunk market where it's like it's actually much easier for them to call fights than it is for me here in Vegas, where there's a saturation of fighters that you can just have on your Rolodex, you know, where you just look at who has the most followers because that's all that fucking matters these days. So it's just really annoying to put literally the same kind of work and prep, and I know this because I've compared notes and methods and leaned on people that I consider mentors at this point, like John fucking Anik. I'm doing the same work, if not more, than really any fucking beat every week, and just having nothing to show for it, and watching fucking, whether it's, you know, idiots in the gambling world fucking act like they're geniuses, fucking assholes in the analyst world put their nose up even fucking higher and snootier, you know, or the people in front of the cameras and the fucking glitz and the glam with the followers and continuing to get the engagement. It's just, I don't know. Sorry, folks. So at least you won't have to deal with me much longer. But yeah, that's just kind of how you forgive me. I've just sacrificed over like a decade, and I'm realizing it's not one losing night. It's like sacrificing like your health, time, money, personal relationships, friendship circles, family members, so many fucking things. Chances at a normal life, and you're like, oh wow, for this stupid fucking game, for this stupid shit, this fucking the rules don't matter. Like, none of this shit matters. Anyways, yeah, cheery podcast. Yeah, now, and Cody Durden defeated Matt Schnell by sub. So this is funny because, you know, just like with the people like, oh, everybody wins some, everybody lose some, right? This and that, you know? Fenya, one of the things that gamblers love to say, and I just heard this week, where they're like, you know, if you, because even after the fact, with the way the fight went, Matt Schnell had no business being an underdog, much less this big of an underdog. Given the 4-day circumstances, Cody Durden just had stitches and a knockout loss like less than 2 months ago. All these things, right? Like stylistic kryptonite is one-shot knockout power. Cody Durden doesn't necessarily have that, even though he's had striking improvements. Cody Durden's stylistic kryptonite is opportunistic submissions. That's the one thing fucking Matt Schnell has, right? And he was like I got him at like a plus 265 underdog. He opened it, I believe, right around there too as well, Feno. Like no business, no justification for that in my opinion. Even if you want to make the argument that Cody Durden should have been favored off 4 days fucking notice, there ain't no way you're telling me in a straight face that he's a 3-1 favorite like he was.
Yeah, no, it didn't make no sense. And if you go by the fight, you can see why. Like, let's I mean, first round was close. I think Cody Durden had the optics because he was very aggressive. I thought Machinel was winning most of the exchanges. Durden got hurt at the very beginning of the fight. The calf kicks were like 4, but they were like solid hurting connections. Machinel was catching him at the end of combinations with counters. Machinel was getting hit quite a bit, but he did never look like particularly hurt. He was defending well after the initial shots. So, and you can tell that Durden was not trying to wrestle and was going hard at it at the beginning because he was banking on probably not didn't want to go the 3 rounds because of the short notice, right?
Sure, yeah.
And Machinel just shit the bed, man, because he shoot a very bad takedown from way outside against a guy that is a very good wrestler and has like Cody Durden. The other thing is that he not only he is a wrestler, he has those front headlock chokes, and Chanel, who to his credit has always been like super hard to submit. It was such a bad shot, man.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think of like, dude, what kind of effect do I have on fighters? Because I just started like picturing Bobby Green just randomly like and just shooting into a guillotine. Like, I'm like, dude, how? I'm like, why are like fighters I bet on like keep blowing their knees or like shooting into chokes? Like, what the fuck? Like, it's comical. Like, it's fucking comical. Like, I was like,
it was. Yeah, it was such a bad takedown attempt. It was from way outside, no setup. It was so bad.
So back to the road omens, Feno. I hate that I'm so hyper vigilant because I can read traffic flows, and a lot of times I'll feel like that. And it's like, fuck, come on, yeah, come on. Just if I can just get past this, and I don't. I sound like I'm driving like an asshole, but I don't, because even though I'm trying to go fast, I don't ever go too far above the speed limit. 1, I always use my signal. 2. And I never try to cut people off too close or follow too close. But I am good about seeing where the brakes are and getting there. You know, when just a bunch of fucking mouth breathers fucking going fucking 20 under the speed limit, riding the fucking right lane. Oh, special hell for right lane riders. Anyways, and the traffic omens, and like I'll see like I'll finally get like a breakaway where I'm like, there it is. That's what I've been waiting for. Finally. Gas. I waited. I was patient. And it'll be funny. There'll be like and not even just like, it's like an agent, like, you know, when like Neo's running from the agents and they're like randomly getting programmed to like into people's head and they just turn and like start like fucking like this was happening last night too, and this happens all the time, but it was extra bad because not only did the car out of nowhere from this lane, or sometimes it's from 2 lanes, sometimes it's from 3 lanes over, where you're like, dude, did someone just program him? I'm like, oh, Dan's actually getting a semblance of momentum. Quick, somebody stop him. He can't have any kind of win. God forbid he can actually press the gas. And that was the only win he was going to consider in the whole fucking month. No, too much to ask. This one, the person was actually had their signal going. They were 3 lanes away to start with. Had their signal going the other way. And as soon as I had the breakaway, they just go complete opposite from their signal and drift and almost hit me. And then stay and then go 20 under. And I'm like, what did this, like, I want to have a dash cam again, just so it sounds like I'm not complaining, folks. That's why I have this podcast. It's not even, it's just so like people see that I'm not crazy with my luck, you know, at this point. Like, I want a dash cam so people can see, like, I remember getting into an argument with a girlfriend, Feno, like a couple relationships ago, where I don't know how, we barely got in arguments, so it was funny out of this, but she literally got, like, angry at me and accused me of, like, not making it up, but, like, overblowing it. She's like, you're bringing this on yourself, like, doing the whole, like, the secret energy. Again, my favorite with this bet. Oh, you know, Dan, if you just thought more positive, maybe with your bets, you know? And I'm just like, they came at me. I drive polite. I have manners. Class. I drive. Yeah, it's ridiculous, bro. And back to this fight, we're rounding it back here, right? Somebody said how I started this off. Somebody was saying this week, and they always say this is an adage, right? In MMA betting, they say we just discussed Fenyo, right? We agree that even with the result, the line was off. The betting line was off, right? And MMA gamblers say, Fenyo, if you long term, if you take advantage of those spots, right? You're betting the plus money when it shouldn't be, right? When a fighter's an underdog and they shouldn't be. Long term, you'll come out on top, right? I listen to another podcast. Most of my money is made from straight plays and underdogs. And I'm like, oh, I'm a big underdog guy and who's focusing on straight plays. Oh, I found some spots like Matt Chanel where the value's off and da-da-da. And again, it's just like, oh, everybody wins sometimes. It's like, no, none of these rules apply to me, apparently. None of them fucking apply to me. Again, I'm just like, but every week I got to hear people say the same shit to me, Fenyo, and I have to be with a straight face, but yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
No, it's just my attitude. Yeah, no, I'll try smiling more this week. Yeah, that'll fix the bad decisions in the MMA pay structure. Yeah, I'll try smiling more. Sorry. Anel Ashmuz defeated Trevor Peek. I didn't watch this one. Anything to say here, Fenyo? We'll get through this fast.
Peak again. Peak is trying to stop being a wild man, and he looked kind of better. But Asmush was a better wrestler and kind of laid him out. And yeah, it wasn't very good. It was alright, but I didn't care much for it. What else?
This guy looked like Israeli Jim Miller, except he probably I was like to myself.
Yeah, let's say that Jim Miller seems to be a very nice guy, and just leave it at that.
Yeah, Jim Miller's a nice guy. I wouldn't want to do that, but he just looked like Israeli Jim Miller. Chris Padilla defeated Rong Zhu. So I agree with the doctor stoppage. I'm not mad at my stupid $5 parlay. I was just more joking. Like, again, of course, God forbid I had the one small win. God forbid I didn't have to take just like yet another thing where the fighter, just losing to something that I wish any fighter that I bet on, how many times I wish could that happen. And then I'm also a little mad because this Chris Padilla guy seems cool and somebody I would root for. He's like talking about super leg and doing his homework and this and that. And I don't want to like him because he beat my boy Justin James, who,
oh,
like
yeah?
Yeah, like Brad Tavares just gets constant shit. So like he's like another fighter who I constantly have to be brought up in breakdowns, and like even analysts and friends I like hear like just talk shit about him. Like, oh great. And so here's why I got mixed up with Yontop, because Yontop fought Padilla, and I didn't want to say anything, and I'm still not going to say anything. But another thing that sucks is when you know these fighters, you know what they go through, not just because of, you have a heart, sympathy, and in my case, even some experience that I can lean into, right? No, none of those things. Sometimes you just know facts. Like sometimes fighters are dealing with really bad injuries. Like they shouldn't even be fighting. Like they were fighting just because they needed money. Like I know everybody says that. Oh, this guy's just fighting because he needs money. And don't get me wrong, like I'm sure I fell into that trap, even though I would like to think I don't come off as heartless and like as cold as fucking most of the MMA gamblers when they talk about shit, where they're like, this person's down and in need. Fuck them. Let's fade them. They get their dicks all hard. Like, yeah. Like that's what MMA gambling Twitter does. They love it. They fucking love that shit, right? But yeah, like it was funny because people like shit on James, like, oh, he's got to win over a UFC fighter on the regionals, and they don't know, what that fighter may or may not have been going through, right? And I'll just leave it at that. So for me, I'm just like, oh, okay, even not knowing this kind of inside information, that could kind of change the perspective on like a fighter's best win, let's just say on their resume, right? The odds makers still weren't very fooled because they had Chris Padilla's underdog here and even on his last fight, which he won. So I'm sure there's going to be a big adjustment there. Probably a possible overcorrection, but I just wanted to mention that going forward, that he's a weird dude to get a beat on.
Yeah, he's hard to read because he's like very athletic, but he doesn't have like a clear A game. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of hard to get a pulse on him. But he seems to be like a decently well put together fighter and well rounded. So
yeah. I'll get you guys in the chat in a second. I just want to blow through these while we got some momentum. Bulgarian, Garote, Marote. I don't got anything really to say there. Anything you can say there, Fenyo?
I mean, it's kind of funny that Marotta was like completely washed by McKinney, and he moves down a division, and they go like, okay, here's 145 McKinney for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, he got absolutely washed. Bulgarian just goes, and Bulgarian bouncing from a loss, right? And he just still goes like balls to the wall, insane. And Marotta is like not good enough to deal with that.
Yep. Andre Lima defeated Felipe dos Santos by unanimous decision. We already kind of touched on this one. I'll just add, I didn't watch this one much, but I saw people complaining, again, back to the announcer prep, that they were surprised. Not only had the ref, warning Lima in these positions. I didn't hear this, but apparently commentary was surprised and like didn't bother to even look at the basic UFC bio sheets to see that like the guy's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And they were like,
Yeah,
wow, he's
and he
grappling.
won in the fight where he got beat. That was very viral because everyone saw it because he was fucking beat. Uh, he was reversing takedowns, and he's very good at reversing takedowns. He
Yeah.
and he's solid from top position. The thing, Lima is kind of frustrating because he's at like low volume, but he's like very good. And Felipe dos Santos is actually very good too. But I thought like Lima was the favorite here, right? I thought he was better.
Yeah, and grappling was. I like Felipe de Santos too, but grappling was kind of the clear hole on paper too. So if commentary was surprised / didn't do their prep, I get why people would be noting that because yeah, even me who didn't even like look into this fight heavily, like knew enough to know that. Gabriel Santos defeated the Yizza, the Jizza, the Rizza. I like Gabriel Santos, so it's cool to see him get a win. Almost got a finish, but Yizza was tough. I can't really say much more. I didn't watch this fight too closely. You?
Uh, this one was great, to be honest. It was very action packed. Zizia was very tough here. Uh, Hung out to the end. Gabriel Santos looked great here. It was a very good fight. Then we have Jacqueline Amorim versus Vanessa Demopoulos. We
Yep.
talk about
That's why I
the
didn't pay
figure.
attention. That's probably why I didn't pay attention to the fight because I was still dealing with that silly fallout. By the way, Din Thomas brought up a good point, but he's like, why do we have replay if we're not using it? Because they actually went to the replay for this, and again, like I said, they didn't even do anything. They didn't say anything to the broadcast team. Because usually they'll communicate to Ratner or the broadcast. Again, the refs. Back to my communication point, they ain't communicating fucking to nobody. And they've got the extra tools that apparently they're not even fucking using. And then Din Thomas, of course, brought up Fenyo. He goes, yeah, like what about that one time we're at the Apex, we're Dukakis with Kevin Holland, and they were about to call that fight, and they stopped the call midway through. And I remember that one, Fenyo. If you don't, you know why I remember that?
Yeah,
Because I had Chris Dawkins as an underdog. I had Kyle Dawkins as an underdog. I had Kyle Dawkins by submission, and I had Kyle Dawkins in my round robin, which of course already had its hit right at that point of the night. So it was going to be a big cash. It was going to be a huge cash. And then Herb goes, "Hey Dan," to the impressionable Dan Miragliotta, and gave him a second opinion, and then they changed it to a fucking no contest. So I lost it all. Remember, and it was
oh my
annoying too
god, man.
because Kevin Holland wasn't even like arguing it; he was actually giving him props, and it was they let Big Dan let him Kevin Holland like fight back from not just one knockdown and clear concussion, but two clear knockdowns and concussions. Like it could have been two like strike stoppage losses too. So it was like, dude, you let the fight not only go, but you let him take a literal boatload of head trauma and then
Yeah,
you're gonna do it for nothing. Nah, just kidding. We're not gonna count any of that. Like, why did you let him take that? At that point, like, Kevin Holland was even mad at that. Like, who are you trying to appease? But Big Dan's got to make everybody happy. Oh, Herb thinks it should be called a different way. You're the sole arbiter, motherfucker. Again, Dan Tom actually knows the rules and took the courses. But, anyways, it's fucking annoying. So I was like, so it was just funny that Dan Thomas brought that up. I wrote that in my notes, because I'm like, oh hey, again, back to my thing. Like, let's play that game, folks. Play that game, name the controversy, and see where Dan Tom was at. That one was all the way back in 2021, Fenyo. Again, this game goes deep. This game goes deep. But everybody wins them. They eventually go your way, Fenyo, apparently. But yeah, this was bad. We already talked about it, so we'll just skip that. And again, I wasn't even like Demopoulos was gonna win. Or I was, because I wasn't confident at all. Obviously, like Amorim was the favorite for a reason. She deserved to be the favorite, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't even confident she was going to reverse the position. I'm not even arguing any of those things, Fanyo. I'm more just like,
No, no, no.
do I have to
It's
be
not
fucked in
about
the
that,
ass
right?
and lose? Do I have to, can't, like, not even for me. Can the fighter get an honest loss? You know what I'm saying? Can they at least get the honest loss? Because she have just continued to get dominated, and then we wouldn't have been arguing. You know what I'm saying? But there's got to be fouls. Petrovsky, again, weird one. This is the one I felt I was closest on and was my biggest singular play. I was originally going to stay off it, right? I'm like, fuck Petrovsky, fuck Budka, fuck middleweight, right? Fenyo. But then it kind of made sense. I'm like, dude, Budka sucks. And like, Petrovsky, he did start off like 4-5-0, right? Like, he has submitted like wrestlers or grappler wrestlers, like the Diaz brother dude who I call as a fraud. And I remember calling him as a fraud from Gunnar. I'm like, dude, you have a good
Maximum, right?
Yeah, Maximov. I'm like, Dan, you already been proven here, like with calling contender series frauds, middleweight frauds that even Petrovsky can check, right? And then Budka comes on the scale, if you saw Fenyo, like looking bad, right?
Yeah, looking like shit,
Dead.
yeah.
And I didn't even realize, like, I probably would have played it if I realized the number was this anyways, even without that. But then I also see that I was expecting maybe like plus 100 or plus 105 for Petrovsky inside the distance. It was plus 200, and I get the shit numbers, so it was probably even higher at other places. So I was like, fuck that. I put 1.5 units, which is a lot for me. Unit is usually my normal play. 1.5 units inside the distance, and I put a little sprinkle in round 2, where he had the most ground control, mind you. And that was just so frustrating. It looked like Budka was giving him the head and arm, and dude, it gave me flashbacks to Jailman versus Derek Lewis. Like, did these guys agree to bet the decision? And they fucking, like, you act sick, and I'll promise not to fuck you up, and we'll split the decision prop. I mean, it's really stupid when us gamblers talk like that, because if you think about, if any of these fighters are semi-serious about their career, why would you risk doing that for what would ultimately not be the biggest payday with limits and the hoops you would have to jump through? But that being said, it was still a really stupid, weird performance.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. Like, he could have taken way more chances. We've seen him take more chances on the ground. Like, he's a very good grappler, actually. He's like one of the strongest like submission grapplers that come from a wrestling background in the division, and he just sat on top of him. Like, and it's not that Petrovsky has never win like a boring like top control decision, but at least, for example,
Right.
like Josh Friend, is like a decent scrambler. He's a legit black belt.
Right.
He was trying to do stuff, so Petrovsky just like defaulted to hold him down, right? But
Yeah.
Vodka here was not trying to do much. It was like very weird.
Yeah, he had the
I mean,
positions.
not only weird, like, and not weird in the sense like that they had like a deal going on. I'm not saying that. It's just like it's a
Right.
bad decision
Yeah.
for a fighter to not go for damage, and I think that's one of the few things because commentary was not on tonight. One of the actually good things that Bisping said on
Yeah.
commentary today is that you gotta make those positions count, because if
Yes.
they get up. If they get back up and you did no damage, it was all for nothing.
It was
you
a
gotta
waste,
do
yeah.
damage. Yeah.
Yeah, I could say, yeah. And then and again, it wasn't just my bias because the commentators were calling for it. And even later, when I forget who it was, Steve Cream Machine was creaming all over Nelson from Half Guard.
Yeah, that's where Bisping said. This is what I was talking
Totally
about.
gaslit.
You gotta
He
make
told-
these positions count.
Yeah, and properly, deservedly gaslit Petrovsky, by the way. Fucking, saying like, this is what you're supposed to do. Like, it's ridiculous. And the big, muscly Henzo Gracie wrestler guy of all people fucking saying that was like, and I thought I was being bad, but then like I saw a bunch of people like going like deep, like cut Petrovsky, this and that, and I was very sympathetic to it and even liking their tweets. But again, like when I tweeted people don't keep the same energy, it was funny watching people like lose their bet, because a lot of people lost their bets tonight, but watching people who usually win lose and how they apparently I'm a bad loser. I take it bad, Fenya, but like I see people freak out double as me, and they haven't fucking tasted the fucking adversity I have in this game or out of it. You know what I'm saying? And then like seeing people like getting more butthurt than I was about Petrovsky, but then being on the right side of like the Amarine side and people like victory lapping that shit. Like, oh, it's like, dude, you got the fucking like again, like I picked her,
Yeah.
but like it was. I'm not disagreeing with you for disagreeing with me, Fenyo. Like we both agree that Amarine was the not just the right favorite, she was the clear favorite. She opened even as a bigger favorite. She opened as a 4-1 favorite, right? Like, and like I was seeing people not just that.
Yeah, that's what made the Demopoulos bet
Yeah.
attractive in the first place. So.
Exactly, yeah, and but that's also what made things annoying too, which is people acting like a genius. Because not only do I have to sit through all these fucking weird beats, I have to watch a bunch of people who are on the favorites or can get unfortunate stuff. Go, oh, I'm a genius, and fucking doing the victory laps. I'm like, oh, this is great. Yeah, yeah, and no one, and it's funny, like, no one ever really keeps the same energy, you know, like or whatever. And then sometimes it's just people miss it. Like I was fucking around with my guy Aaron. Shout out to Aaron. I'm looking forward to seeing him next week. But he was, and to be fair, Aaron bet Petrovsky and was saying that Petrovsky should have been stood up for cage grabs, which I agree as well, by the way, because he was doing some cage grab shit. And Aaron kept tweeting about that, and I'm like, man, people are still tweeting about the Petrovsky thing, but I'm like, but meanwhile, I'm seeing, at least on my timeline, Fenyo, it was a lot of people going, oh, the last thing I'll say about that, I promise, because you'll appreciate this, the Jose Aldo crowd. But because everybody was going, no, you should, again, bootstrap, no, you should fight. Only low-level fighters, someone was like, oh, only like a lower level or only a shitty fighter would get caught with what Demopoulos did as far as like, not the armbar, but as far as getting caught talking to a ref. And I'm like, yeah, fights definitely don't produce duress no matter who you are. Like, definitely it's only the lower level fighters that only talk to refs, right? Like, Jose Aldo, the GOAT, wasn't notorious for constantly complaining to the refs and working the refs. I used to write about him.
Yeah.
I described him as a ruthless politician, like from the Kenny Florian back at that era of his title run to like before Conor. Like from Kenny to before Conor, he was a ruthless politician. He was always working the refs. He was always, that's how he was getting his pacing breaks too. He'd be like, you know, Cruz was like gaslighting Burns for going, oh, see, he wants the break. That's why he hit him low. But like,
yeah.
And like, that's a little like blasphemous. Whereas Aldo wouldn't do that, but Aldo would be like, if he was kind of feeling tired and you kicked even in that range, he would take his own foul.
Yeah.
And he would actually like, he would do the no. He would turn his back and walk away before the, like, that's how confident he was with his power, right? And props to him, it worked. But again, we're only lower level fighters, Fenya. Only lower level fighters complain to the referee.
I mean, Bisping was champion of the world, and one of the like biggest Bisping moments is complaining about his mouth guard. That it wasn't even a foul. He just dropped him because Anderson hit him first. He was like, I need my mouth guard, and he got kneed in the face.
And like Keith Peterson, like Dom with Keith Peterson, he still makes comments about that. He still makes little cheeky comments. But, you know, but both of them, right, who were coincidentally on the call were like, oh, it's nothing. Oh, it wasn't anything. Like, oh, no, because it's not you guys. Again, back to the bias. No one ever keeps that same fucking energy. Fuck y'all who don't keep the same energy. Lastly but not leastly, Nate Fletcher lost to Ziggy Matas de Masca. I didn't watch this one. Sorry, you like that one?
Yeah, I love that one.
I didn't watch this one. So I got nothing to say. You got anything to say? Then I'll clean up the chat and we'll get out of here.
I mean, Fletcher, it was like a scrambly fight. Ramasca tried to attack submissions and he got tired, and Fletcher got the arm triangle. And it was that. I didn't watch stuff, so I didn't know anything about these guys.
Ben Cohn, we have to link up Matt Brown and Sean Brady to train. Oh, that would be great for your point earlier, Ben. Sorry, Fenya. Were you saying something? Were you gonna say something more?
No. Go ahead with the chat.
James Kendrick, another free show hyped. Hopefully I didn't ruin it for you guys with my fucking rants. Real Sister Tuesday, I saw you had another losing night. I'm hesitant to like those because I generally want you to win. Oh, it's okay. I won't take it personally if you guys like or don't like those. It's fine. Again, it shouldn't surprise anybody at this point. So it's no big. And guys, it's too late for me. I'm already dead. So it's really no big deal. It's just whatever at this point. I'm just more looking toward. I'd be more worried about like me just still having a career in this space in 2025. That's probably the more fair worry for us all to have. Not that you should be worried about it. I should be worried, I guess, but whatever. James Kendrick, is it wrong for me as a fan to hate Natalia Silva for getting all the hype, but also hate Andrade because she never does anything smart? That's very fair. James continues. He goes, I was wishing there was a way both lost tonight, but I didn't even get that. I was too, because I had an extra $5 and I didn't want to cash it out, so I just put it on the draw for fun with my remainder that I put in the machine. So I was like, there's no way I can. And then I also had Natalia Silva by decision in my untracked round robin, so that hit. But again, nothing else hit, so it didn't matter. But yeah, I think that's fair to say, James Kendrick. Ghost Phantom says Jessica Andrade threw a low kick to the trailing leg in the third round, then never went to it again. Yeah, the third round she like got the urgency initiative, which was great, but then like her fighting got worse. And I know also that Natalia Silva does get better as the fight goes on. You really saw that in her last fight. Ghost Phantom adds, Andrade keeps throwing overhands. Why not throw that right hook or a right straight to the body when Silva's completely square again? Yeah, that would have been nice against the fence, he says. Yeah, that would have been nice.
And the clinches were bad ideas by Andrade.
Yes, yeah.
Both Andrade and Burns. Another sign of an old fighter, looking for clinches when you don't need them, and when you're not winning inside the clinch, that's like a very
and they weren't
old fighter thing.
Yeah, and you could tell that it wasn't like they were clinching because they committed it to like to their A game or their surprise A game, right? Like no, they was just kind of aimless with a lot of that. Jin Karasu says, should more fighters look to foul more since it doesn't look intentional and it gets ignored? Yeah, I always say foul. Absolutely.
Yeah, like being pragmatic. I mean, I don't want to see it because like seeing fouls suck, to be honest.
Sure.
But if you're like want to be objective about it, like if you're a fighter and you see an opportunity to foul, you should take it because the chances are that you're not getting punished for it.
Yep, I agree. Sammy Arnett, you should still tweet that Paul Felder ladder climbing. Why am I going to start stuff with Felder? I like Felder. I'm not trying to start stuff with people. I'm just being salty, folks. It's just annoying seeing fucking people climb your fucking rung. Ghost Phantom, what does Mark Ratner actually do for the UFC besides useless eating at buffets? Oh my god. You go easy on Mark. He's like 117 years old, man. He's the crypt keeper over there. He's been around since like the Tyson days, man. Rules and Regulatory. He sued Mike Tyson back in the day. He was like that guy. He was a serious figure. He's the guy who actually says the thing I always stress is the first warning comes in the back. I think he'd actually be more in line with a lot of us, to be honest. But he's an old guy they kind of keep behind the scenes. Doesn't really do much, unfortunately. M Boys, much respect to Mark though. M Boys says, hugs, I'm with you where I honestly don't know what to feel. Fenyo was spot on with the Asperger commentary from Thursday. yeah. There's a lot of that, so it's what it is. All right, guys, thank you so much. Sorry I went longer than I wanted to. At least we'll be under an hour and a half, whatever. Sorry, Fenyo, as I know you're tired as well, man. I'm on. I don't even know I told you the Fenyo this, not to one up you, but it makes you feel better. I'm on an hour of sleep. Yeah, I know.
I'm on like 3, so I'm triple.
Oh shit! Fuck! Damn it! Why are you on? That's not good. As I say that on an hour, but yeah. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do jiu-jitsu tomorrow, but I'm honestly dealing with a bunch of stuff from immune system, physical stuff, and like multiple spots, hips and wrists. Stuff that I don't know still with the throat. So yeah, I'm getting fucked up from every area. So I'll see. But you know what, Fenya, this was a real reminder, regardless of however long I do this for, that I need to spend less time and put less time into this. I'm gonna start by putting less money into it next week by just putting none. And giving myself that break, because at this point, I don't think anybody's accusing me at this point not putting my money where my mouth is. That's certainly not the problem with my accountable ass. But then also just like, I don't know, it's probably going to suck. Maybe it'll make things shorter because I'll have less to say, which is good. But maybe it'll make things suck, so I guess I apologize if my writing seems different or not as detailed, or if it seems like I'm mailing some things in. Because I might be actually doing what literally 90% of this space does, from the broadcast people to the betting people to the nerdy analyst people like me and Fenyo. Very few people actually do the work. Me and Fenyo talk about this all the time. Like, how it sounds silly, but like when you actually do the tape study, it's not fun. It's actually like it can be kind of consuming when you do this consistently and properly. And yeah, so I don't know, Fenyo. I think I'm gonna just because man, it's just again, it's just not. It's I know it's a running theme in my life, so trying to attack it in one area doesn't fix everything. But I don't know, man. I don't know what to do at this point because actually going by analysis and shit like just doesn't doing the work, and I don't know, it doesn't seem to be working. So I don't know, man. All right, if you guys have any ideas, hit me up. Otherwise, go support Fenyo at Fenyo X Sky Fight Site. Anything to say before we get out here, Fenyo?
Uh, yeah, if everything goes according to plan, I'll be doing the full preview for the pay-per-view on Monday because, as you guys know, we have Contender Series on Tuesday and a lot of shows on Thursday, including my man Dan Tom here. So yeah, look forward to that. For those of you that like the full preview, I'm doing it live as I started doing a few months ago. So if you have time on Monday night, drop in and chat with me about the fights. And that's it.
I love when you do those live, by the way, and I love seeing people from the chat here do it. You can hit the like button and support me if you want. I really deserve it. Again, I don't even know if it's going to make a difference at this point. So, wow, that was uplifting. But yeah, go support Fenyo, and I'll be around, but maybe not like too big. If you guys are in town for the Sphere stuff, I hope you have fun. I probably won't be around much. I'll probably just be on a hate video for that, I'm guessing, for the Dana White Media Bash thing. And I am trying to meet some people that are in town, but I don't even know if I want to do that, to be honest, because like I feel like I'm such a bum out. Like I don't even want to podcast right now because I'm like I'm just bumming out Fenyo. I'm just bumming out the chat. And like now I'm like thinking about canceling my plans with like people like next week are coming into town, like because I'm just like I don't want. I'm just a bum out, man. Like who wants to be around this? Like you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't know if I'll be around, folks, but I wish you the best. So apologies if I don't get back to you. Have a good weekend and always protect your neck.
Yeah, Nick.